Let's talk about the hip. Now, hip pain is a pretty common condition. We see a lot at recharge, and chances are if you played a sport, you felt a hip pinch, a hip pain, or just soreness in the hip. So we're gonna take you through what we call the progression of perception for the hip. It's gonna be 3 ways that you can move the hip around to help your brain, your body, and your hip process the sensations it's feeling. Starting with number 1. You're gonna be laying down on the table. There's a belt that Ryan is using here. This belt hooks up right at the hip joint. And as Ryan sits back, he pushes his chest forward, creating a nice kind of suction effect for the hip, because the hip joint is a very strong vacuum, so it's not gonna go anywhere. Even though it might feel that way, again, this is perception. What you feel doesn't necessarily mean what's happening. So you might feel pinching, you might feel pain, and this actually helps move the hip around just a little tiny bit and change that perception. So this is number 1, let's go to number 2.
All right, here's step 2 for the progression of perception. What we're doing now is we're using our hands to block at the pelvis while our knee blocks the femur near the superior knee. When he does this, Ravi here lunges forward slightly as that pressure is applied and that fulcrum is provided. This allows to change perception of the tightness through a dynamic component of movement. All right, progression of perception, step 3, is a dynamic component again, but we're using a little bit of self-education so the athlete or patient can do this on their own. So what Ravi here is going to demonstrate is a forward lunge with a band tied to either a pole or a squat rack or something along those lines that creates a line of tension here at about a 45-degree angle from the movement. So now he's going to do a forward lunge for me as the tension from the band is pulling back to change the perception of what that feels like as he lunges in the hip. And then he's going to do a lateral lunge and get the same type of pull with that overall movement.